Good morning, GM, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FOMO HOUR. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2020. Folks, it is a cooler fall morning again here in Chicago today. It is downright cold outside. We are in the 30s right now. This is crazy. Not quite ready for this, but folks, the market is not cold. It is downright hot. Bitcoin is grinding up. The memes are popping. NFTs are moving. And the news desk, folks, is as busy as it's been all year. We're going to break it all down on today's show. No Farokh. He's out busy interviewing moguls in Paris. But we've got Mando back with us. Mando, GM, how you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Another day in paradise. The coins are moving, and we've got a lot to talk about. On that note, folks, we've got Logan Hitchcock back on with us, editor-in-chief over at Lucky Trader. Logan, GM, how are you doing? And part two, was yesterday the busiest day of the year that you played?
I'm doing well, Tyler. Thank you. It was very busy. It feels good to be back in the trenches and be busy in that way, where there feels like there's a notable headline, every couple minutes or so, or at least something that, people that are alongside us in the trenches would want to know. So it felt good to be pushing out lots of tweets yesterday and keeping people informed. And hopefully it stays like that for the foreseeable future.
And folks, Logan hasn't just been writing news stories. He's also been in the trenches himself, a proud GOAT token owner. So Logan, we might have to talk about that GOAT trade of yours, which is looking better by the day. So folks, what are we talking about on today's show? Bitcoin continues to rip up. It's knocking on 68K. Is Tesla going to stop this rally? Are they going to sell their Bitcoin? The SEC is targeting individuals after coming after GOTBIT, it looks like. Trump and the World Liberty Fi token disappointment on day one. We've got DAOs introducing meme coin trading and launching. Jupiter and Phantom are making meme coin trading easier than ever. We have to talk about GOAT becoming the GOAT meme, source another 150% to 300 million. We're going to do a quick NFT roundup. There's some news featuring BMW, Xcopy Punks, and Azra Games. And then perhaps we'll finish with this Praxis and Network State headline. They raised $500 million to build a network state. So huge money at stake for them. Plus, we've got Rollbit spins today, double spin. So you want to make sure you stay tuned till the end for that. All right, before we dive in, shout out to our show partner, Galaxis. With seamless built-in monetization tools, Galaxis enables the development of sustainable, long-term communities, fulfilling Bitcoin's vision of decentralized freedom and independence from centralized control. Shout out to Galaxis. We are happy to be partnering with them. All right, that is our preview of today's show. Mando, if you're ready, let's get into it.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM, everyone. Looks like we've had another strong day, if I'm honest. Bitcoin, obviously the main gainer again. Bitcoin dominance is heading up towards 59%. I think it's at the cycle high right now, right? I think it's broke out. Yeah, 58 was like quite a notable point of resistance for even since the last cycle. And we're now heading up towards 59 to 60%. It looks as though there's just been massive inflows into the ETF over the last 3 days. We had another 300 million in, so it's over $1 billion. I think over $1.1 billion even over the last 3 trading sessions, which is pretty massive. Yeah, exactly. Look at those figures. Big move. Interestingly, ETH actually had an outflow yesterday of their ETF. So it's really just a Bitcoin trade, which is pretty interesting, and that's basically been shown up in their figures. Like we're seeing Bitcoin dominance rise, people realizing they don't own enough Bitcoin. It kind of reminds me of how it felt in like February, March time, where everyone was like, "Oh, Bitcoin keeps rising," and Bitcoin was basically leading a lot of altcoins even then. It feels a little bit like that again right now, where maybe the average crypto user is underexposed to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin up 1.2% and is beating most coins out there is quite a. It was actually one of the top gainers in the top 100 today, which I thought you barely ever see that for Bitcoin. So, and the other ones were like Litecoin because of that ETF, and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. It was the coins that you only ever hear about when Bitcoin's pumping and Bitcoin pumping alone. So decent day there. Again, it's inflows into the ETF, which I think is majority, but I think the main driver of that is probably just still this Trump trade. So Trump's odds continue to rise. They've hit over 60%, it looks like, on Polymarket, on huge volume going through on Polymarket, huge volume going through on Kalshi, and it looks as though we're starting to price in this sort of Trump trade into the election, and Bitcoin becomes one of the most obvious things to buy. It wasn't a stronger day yesterday for macro. We actually saw a bit of a sell-off. Stocks had looked overbought by a few different metrics. We had a sell-off based on semiconductors. There was some more talk about the fact that the US was going to restrict some of the AI chip sales, the GPUs outside the US, and that caused some of the major chip suppliers to fall. You also had ASML, which is one of the biggest chip suppliers, fall like 16% on the back of that. But so stocks not having a good day, and crypto still breaking out. So we've seen that decoupling, I think, a little bit here, where crypto is starting to outperform most other asset classes right now. Gold as well. Like gold's doing well, but not as well as Bitcoin over the last few sessions. So definitely an outperformance there, and I think it's mainly this Trump move. We're seeing more and more like different firms challenging the SEC here. So you had Grayscale again asking to upgrade one of their funds to an ETF. You had Canary, this new ETF provider, applying for the Litecoin ETF. I think Coinbase also has been clapping back at the SEC over the last 24 hours over one of their cases. It just feels like the SEC's, they're dishing it out still, but at the same time, like some of these bigger firms are definitely going after them, and it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays after the election, particularly if Trump gets in. The Trump project as well, like I don't know if we were already going to bring that up, but that's only raised 11 million. They were aiming to raise 300 million. I think aiming to raise 300 million is pretty high. I don't really know if it's like worth it to raise 11 to raise 50. You know what I mean? Is it even worth it to raise 50? So like Machi raised more than this.
Like 3 or 4x this, right? Like Machi was consistently raising like 20 to 40 million.
Machi raised more than Trump, I think, is an interesting headline within crypto circles. So people just not getting into it. I mean, it had been widely derided, I think, within crypto circles, just as like, what is this? This doesn't feel like necessarily a great project. And I think a lot of people are actually pro-Trump, think this is a big risk for him to do. And I'm kind of in that camp of, I just think this is a big risk. Like, if he's this far ahead, particularly within the crypto community, he didn't need this. Like, not in my opinion, at least. But maybe the plans around this. I mean, Kamala's been consistently raising more than him, right, for the last couple of months, and maybe he felt like he needed something like this to like even the ad spend. But let's see on that one. But that's it for like the macro stuff.
Yeah, let's maybe dig into the Trump stuff a little bit, and then we'll maybe circle back to some of the other tokens. So, Farokh did the spaces with Trump. They talked about crypto. They talked about World Liberty Fi. He was there for the launch, but it seemed like in the days to follow that perhaps the Trump family was going to be like at least distanced somewhat, perhaps on paper. But I mean, I don't think they can be distanced at this point. Like, Trump did the launch video for the token sale and tweeted it out from his page yesterday. But I think you have to call it a disappointment. So $11 million, they were trying to raise close to $300 million and a $1.5 billion valuation. So they're less than 4% of the way there. I think there's a couple reasons we're seeing it. And Logan, you pointed to some, I'll throw to you here in a second. I mean, a big one is that the non-transferable for a full year. I think that certainly has given some folks some hesitation. That's a long time to be locking things up, at least for the casual investor. But casual investors aren't really eligible for this. So Logan, I think you pointed to some of the terms, right? So remind us what those are.
Yeah, so if you take a look at the terms, and particularly as a U.S. resident, if you click on that, I think it's the left button on the site, you have to be an accredited investor, right? There's other terms and conditions in there and requirements that create, stricter prerequisites that perhaps, I don't know that the team really thought about in terms of creating that raise number. Like, are you going to be able to get 300 million out of accredited investors who are willing? You also need to have people willing to hand over information about themselves, prior to, providing any funds here. Just those types of things don't really jive too well with this audience, at least in my opinion. So I think that's one of those things where you could say that, of course, this is a disappointment. It's so far of a divergence from the number they're looking to raise, but maybe a little bit less of a disappointment given those, strict constraints.
It's actually like more of a traditional raise in that sense, right? It's just accredited investors. Your tokens are going to be, it's kind of like a SAFT raise where you're going to get your tokens unlocked after a year. But I think another big part of it is the valuation. Like 1.5 billion valuation on this. We really still don't know a whole lot about what it even is, other than just like the high level, right? Like it's going to be a DeFi platform. They have a 3-phase roadmap. They eventually want to get, fractionalized real estate and all that. But that's a long way out. We haven't really gotten a glimpse of much of the infrastructure. What's Aave? Aave's trading at, let's see, 2.5 billion FDV. So they're coming in at 60% of Aave off the gun. Doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of near-term upside at 1.5 billion, at least for me. So I think that's a big part of it. I don't know if they're going to raise much more than this. I mean, Mando, if you had to put an over/under on where you think this thing comes in at here, perhaps at the end of this week, what do you think the number is? And then do you think they're going to have to cap the sale, or what do you even do when you try to raise 300 million and you only have 15 or 20 in the coffers?
You call up all the people that were at the Bitcoin conference and you say, "Hey,
do you want this national reserve?"
Money? Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen here. Like, as far as I'm aware, there's a number of very senior advisors to this project, right, within crypto circles. A lot of that Bitcoin Magazine team, plus others. I don't know if they're being as public about it, but there's definitely senior people in crypto who are trying to make this happen. This essentially just becomes a pack. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, that's how they're going to sell this. So, who knows? Elon just gave 70 million to Trump, right? It looks like I saw the A16C guys gave 2.5 million today. Yeah, maybe people just stop throwing money at it.
Yeah, I can see that. That's not a crazy outcome. I'm not going to take the under on this because there's so many ways they can pivot. I think, and we're seeing that in the election market too, right? Like there's some whales on the Trump side. And I don't have the tweets handy, but folks have done some research on this, on some walls that have certainly been driving this up on the Trump side. There's clearly more Trump whales than there are combo whales at this point in time. So it wouldn't be a huge shock if folks with those bigger pockets throw some of that action towards the WLFI token. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So that'll be one story to continue watching here this week, folks. Kind of pulling back to the market. So we talked about Bitcoin smashed through 68. Wow, 68,200 live on the show. Another strong morning. But what jumps out is ETH is even slightly red on the day, and so is Solana. So like to Mando's point, this is a Bitcoin only move and not really a whole lot else. So Doge was the top leader on the day of the top 100 or so tokens. Litecoin was next, as he mentioned. So it's a pretty light day. Yeah. So Bitcoin, Bitcoin's top 10 mover here on the day. So not a whole lot of action across the board. Is that concerning? Like, Mando, I guess for me, like I would have expected when this Bitcoin rally came, I guess I kind of thought in my head that Solana would probably move along with it like it had been, and then probably Ethereum as well, perhaps not as much.
It's not surprising to me. I guess I've been saying this for a long time. Like I think going into Q4, it just felt like the L1 wars have become more competitive. And I think Solana's been keeping up with Bitcoin, like broadly on the week, right? Solana's up 10%. Yeah. So like Sol BTC chart's been sideways for like a while now. Like the Sol ETH chart, the Bitcoin ETH chart looks horrific, but Solana's just like keeping pace with Bitcoin on the way up. But I think I preferred Bitcoin as a risk reward in that world because, you know, I own Solana because I want it to be like a 3x. I don't own it for like Bitcoin returns. So I think Bitcoin dominance is actually going to peak around the election time, if I'm honest. Like I think we could see it break out here. Because also I think normies, and by normies I mean like non-crypto holders, they'll buy Bitcoin into the election. They'll be like, that's the trade. I'll buy Bitcoin. They're not going to come in and buy one of these altcoins. So I just think you're entering a period where a lot of normies will come in and buy Bitcoin just for a trade around the election. And that will probably mean Bitcoin dominance increases around that time. And then afterwards, you know, if Bitcoin's at 75, 80K, yeah, we're going to start sending some of these coins, right? But I do think Bitcoin dominance probably continues to rise.
That's probably my new mental model for how we play out the next few weeks. The only hiccup is Elon and Tesla selling. I think that would be a massive surprise. I don't know that we ever really uncovered a reason. Granted, it's been less than a day, but the Tesla wallets have apparently moved over $750 million worth of Bitcoin, all of their Bitcoin, it looks like.
He hasn't sold it though, right?
No, right. They have not sold it. So they just moved it. So there's a chance it's OPSEC. There's a lot of different reasons why perhaps they could have done it.
Yeah.
But they hadn't moved in 2 years. So that this sparked some headlines. We saw like Tier 10 tweeting about this. So it went around the horn. But clearly it doesn't look like the market's too shaken up about it.
Does Elon sell Bitcoin just before the election? Just doesn't feel like the right move for him.
I think that would make a lot of people question a lot of things that have been happening.
Just like he doesn't need to.
Right.
Grok just raised what 6 billion, was it? Something crazy. Or raised at a crazy valuation. It feels like Starlink and Tesla are all going to do fine. Like, yeah, I don't think he needs to do anything.
Yeah, I'm going back through some of their previous. So they did sell back in 2022. I couldn't recall if they actually bought back in. But it feels like that's likely a nothing burger. So don't be too worried about that just yet, folks. But I'm sure the timeline will let you know if Elon does in fact start selling that Bitcoin. All right, I think that's a good roundup on macro. I think we touched a little bit on memes. The meme majors. Doge is leading the way. We haven't seen that in quite some time, up 9%. I think that move was enough to see. I actually tweeted this out before the show. The overall meme market cap now hitting a new higher high for the first time since early June. So I feel like that's a notable move for those who have been tracking that. And then Logan Euphoric, wasn't sure if he's going to show up for work today after the GOAT token had the night of its life. Folks, this is up 150% at 300 million. At the time of the show yesterday, it was 110. It dipped to 110. It looked like perhaps the initial heater was over. Narrator, it was not over. I think we saw a Mark Andreessen tweet last night, which actually it was not an endorsement, but he included the ticker in his tweet. Perhaps I'll try to find that here in a second. Maybe folks thought that was kind of a de facto endorsement. But Logan, what's why is this happening? How is GOAT becoming the number one new meme so fast?
Man, so fast. I can't explain the speed, aside from people looking for a new meta and hoping to participate in something a little bit different, right? This is a slightly different than all the other animal coins, just given the lore behind it. But I've seen lots of tweets regarding this is one of those true manifestations and possibilities between AI and crypto. Right, you have the AI agent acting on its own on Twitter, being completely ridiculous if you're following Truth Terminal at all. And you have this endorsement of a meme coin, the crypto component here, that it's dedicated its life to. If I don't know how to characterize that, but that's what it's been about. And I think people are kind of zooming out a little bit. You have the new meta potential. You have this is what's possible potential. You have the people involved, like Andreessen, as you've noted here. there's just so many little things kind of coming together, and that's really all you need from time to time to have something like this take off.
Yeah, it feels like it was just like a perfect storm. And
Yeah.
Logan, so tell us your story. So you got in this fairly early. Are you still holding on to this thing? And what's your
I'm still potential target. Well, at this point, I saw somebody say that the Billy Goat thing, seems like it has a good ring to it. So I think $1 billion is a good target for right now. Whether or not that's feasible, I have no clue. I thought, to be quite honest, I sold half of my stack around 130 million, thinking that kind of that 125 range was going to be tough to break through. For a while, it looked like a good trade. Of course, it's since not looked so good. But yeah, I got in around 2 million. I mean, we had been following Truth Terminal from the Lucky Lead days, Tyler, right? We knew that Truth Terminal had mentioned potential coin coming. And so put notifications on for some time, turned them off because, again, if you follow the Truth Terminal, you scroll through the feed, you'll understand why you would potentially turn off notifications for it. But was just in the right place at the right time. Friend of ours, shared that they didn't create, or the AI Truth Terminal did not create the coin, right? But started to endorse the coin created based on this Goat CS Maximus meme. And yeah, I was like, well, I had already previously said that I would be in on a coin like this. I made a buy around, I think it was around 2 million. I think my entry, which was pretty early. I mean, it took off pretty early. That initial surge of like, pump to 5 million, whatever. That happened pretty quickly. And then I just got lucky. I was busy this weekend. It was my fiance's birthday. I got lucky, so I wasn't wasn't selling. And at this point, still holding a goat bag.
Well, congrats. I think you had to buy the first day to get in at 2 million that October 10th. And the time scale of this is probably what's the most absurd. So Mudang recently ran to 300 million. So there is precedent for a new runner to go this high. But if folks remember, Mudang, it took about 2 weeks to get there. Goat just did it in 5 days. So it launched in the afternoon of the 10th, and it's now the morning of the 16th at 300 million. So I think this is one of, if not the fastest meme rocket we've seen, I think, since Bohm. That's what was coming to my head this morning. Have we seen a faster mover since Bohm?
I don't think so. Not that I can recall. I mean, like the second Nero, maybe, like that was pretty quick, right? Not the first one, but the second one with the Binance listing and stuff. But not organically in this way, if you want to call this organic.
It feels more organic. I'm not fading this. I'm not fading any target. You could tell me your target's 10 billion. I'm like, sure. Goat can probably get to 10 billion. Why not? I'm seeing a lot of screenshots from folks who are already up a few $1,000,000 on this one. So I am wondering when they're going to start taking their profits on this.
I'd be interested. I'm sorry, Tyler. I saw somebody share that someone plugged it into the Myriad formula, right? And this grades really well based on Myriad's list and metrics. I'd be interested to hear Myriad's target for something like Goat, given the absurdity of the targets he has on the rest of his. I don't know, 50 billion for Goat or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, it'd probably be his new number one. Of course, it wouldn't qualify for his list because it hasn't been around long enough and survived the 70% pullbacks. So that'll be our test of Goat. But if it ever pulls back, who knows? If it will, it seemingly has inspired, again, another meta of this like AI token. So now everything's getting spun up. So Dog AI is a trending token right now. It's up 500,000% right now. I think there's a few others. AI Dog. Have you chased any of the derivative plays, or do you think that meta has any legs, or is it just Goat right now, Logan?
Yeah, I have not chased them. I had been following Medusa a little bit. I think you talked about that on the show yesterday, kind of running with a similar theme. The first pump fund created by an AI. This is already spiked. When I first tweeted about it yesterday on the Lucky Trader account, I think it was at like 12 million or something, and it got up close towards 30 or something. So I've been following this one a little bit, but the others, no. I've made that silly chase the derivative thing. I've made that mistake 100 million times, and I'm fortunate in this instance to actually own what I deem to be the winner, hopefully, GOAT. So I don't feel the need to chase downstream quite as much as perhaps I would have last time or any other meta where I felt like I was trailing.
Yeah, on the winners. I will say this Medusa chart looks pretty good. I don't own any, but it looks like it could be getting ready for a leg up. So I think that was the action on Solana. Let's kind of go around the horn real quick. The Myriad memes were largely red on the day. Let's see. Apu is the only one in green. I am curious if we're going to see the I keep drawing the comparisons to the Art Blocks curated run back in 2021, where we would pump Thursday to Sunday, draw back Monday to Wednesday, and then the weekend run would start. So I'm curious if we will start to see some action on this board. Folks visibly shaken by some of the pullbacks in these things. I guess they thought these tokens would only go up for forever. But what we will certainly see on the ETH board. Let's take a quick look. What do we got? Yeah, mostly chop, not a whole lot of big action here up top. So yeah, we'll see if we get any more notable action here across the rest of today. Over in Runes land, there actually is a couple interesting stories kind of going from meme coins to runes. So Coda Fluffington, the cat memes are taking over Runes World. It seems like this was the top mover. It's up 18x. It's $3 million. So you had to get in pretty early to catch that 18x, but pretty big volume. 23 Bitcoin, over 1 million. So it's the top mover on the day. I think what's notable about Gizmo, so Gizmo is the recent runner. It's holding at 14 million. It is down about 40%, I believe, from peak. Yeah, it was up around 28 sats, though Bitcoin's gone up a bit since here. But Logan, I believe there is a ordinals mint coming.
Yeah.
The kitten.
I have not had a chance to dig into to understand the relationship between the rune and the potential ordinal. So I'm not certain that there's a connection there, but there is a Gizmo the cat. Yeah, I believe it's that account there, Tyler. Ordinal coming, I think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. That, you know, I imagine we haven't had since this renewed interest in ordinals and runes over the course of the last few weeks. We have not had a new ordinals mint that I'm aware of with any sort of steam or interest. Of course, the rune itself about Gizmo has already taken off and done quite well. Wouldn't surprise me to see this one do quite well either. I believe it's free. There's three. Yeah, you can see 3 phases there. Puppets. I don't know what SOGs are. Is that just a name for something? Shorthand for something?
That's their nickname for the last jet.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see this go off tomorrow. I expect it'll do quite well. It'll be really interesting to gauge. You remember the last big one that we were just trying to create price targets for was probably Quantum Cats, maybe Pizza Ninjas, those types of things. It'll be interesting to gauge where this comes out right off the rip. You know, is this a 0.02 Bitcoin thing, you know, right away? Is it nothing? But we just haven't seen anything. We haven't been able to really even create any barometer for ordinal success in the last couple months.
Yeah, the timing is good for this. So I think there's going to be a lot of demand. Curious what the mint price is. Of course, it doesn't look like we have that here. The fact that
it's free.
Oh, okay. Free mint. So that was a smart.
I think so.
If it's free, this is going to do pretty well. But with that being said, it's a derivative, like it's a sidekick, and it's not from the same team, right? Like this is not from the Puppets artist, as I understand it. Correct?
No, I don't believe so. And there's some weird. I mean, it feels a little cryptic on this account and everything. I would make sure this is definitely minting like on Magic Eden and stuff like that prior to participating. Yeah, definitely exercise caution with like hyped mints. We just haven't had to issue that warning in a long time. But assuming this mints on Magic Eden's launchpad and everything, yeah, I expect it will do a couple multiples from free for sure.
Yeah, one to watch. Certainly not an endorsement, but I think it could impact the runes. So if the ordinals does well, I actually wonder if that hurts the runes. We're going to find out soon. I think one of the more interesting stories from yesterday on the meme coin topic before we move on and get into some NFT headlines here was out of DAOs.fun. So I saw Imran Khan tweet about this, but they're launching this new product. It's called DAOs.fun. Basically, the way it works is you can get together with your buddies to form a meme coin DAO to trade memes or to even launch them yourself. You can raise up to 15K. You can issue a DAO token from there, and then they will issue you a smart wallet that you can control, buy and sell tokens from there. I think the one twist is that all of the DAOs come with an expiration date. So you have 3 months to a year before the DAO gets automatically shut down with all the funds distributed out to members. So a little bit of an interesting twist there. I saw some interesting reactions to this, and Logan, I'm curious for yours. I think a lot of folks, I saw folks in my timeline kind of talking about doing this on their own. Like I saw folks like me say, like, do you want me to trade memes for you? And I'll take 25% profit. And I saw more and more of that start to happen. And this is very similar to what was happening with NFTs in 2021, where the numbers were going up and everyone started thinking like, hey, I should start an NFT fund. So now we're starting to see that with meme coin funds. What are your reactions to this? Do you think it's going to have some legs here? And then like, how would it compare to any other products we have?
Yeah. I mean, you wrote it in the last line there. It's like Party DAO meets Pumped Up Fun. I love Party DAO. If you haven't checked that out, I mean, I don't think it gets enough love for some of the cool little innovations that it's done. So I think this is a really cool idea. And I definitely like the fact that, this has some of that smart control. Whereas, if you're just creating a meme fund on your timeline, right, there's not necessarily any programmatic controls about the dissolution of it, the distribution of the profits or tokens or anything like that. And this seems to take care of some of those potential issues that would arise with any strife between partners or whatever the case may be. So I think this is super cool. Will we see massive funds spin up as a result of this? Unlikely. But if you just want to kind of mess around with some of your friends and have a central place to trade and track, I think it's pretty cool. Now they're doing it, starting it privately, right? Like it's invite only to start. So it's not like, I can just go out and create one right away and invite people to join. I think that's smart as well. Iron out any of the kinks, but I'll be interested to see what comes of it. I think, DAOs are a really cool idea that we just haven't, found perhaps the perfect recipe for launching and executing thus far. Will this be that? I don't know, but I'm cool to see more innovation of it.
Yeah, it's a fun new product. I'm sure we will see some folks spin these up. So we'll be curious to follow. Quickly, I have to shout out our code for today, though. For those who are dialed in for the Rollbit spins, the code is GOAT. The code, again, is GOAT. So we'll probably get into those spins here in about 10 minutes or so. Before we get there, maybe let's shift gears, talk a little bit about NFTs. There were a few headlines that I wanted to talk about. So one was this punk trade. I kind of saw it and then just kind of moved past it during my day yesterday. But this became notable here from a comment from Punk's OTC. So we saw 75 ETH Punk sale. This was a 6 trade. And then notably, Punk's OTC saying he thinks that this will have the highest ROI of any of the Punks bought and sold recently. Logan, curious if you had any reactions to this one. Do you think he's right?
Do I think he's right? I'm not going to fade Punk's OTC. Is there anybody who knows the Punks market any better? Probably not. So I'm not going to fade that. Interesting looking Punk. I don't necessarily love aesthetically, but a major drop off. Yeah, you're pulling it up here. The discrepancy between the sales for 6 straight Punks, of which there's only 11, a massive drop off from those others that were sold a year ago, 2 years ago. Of course, that was peak Punk time. But this is a quite rare Punk that if you're expecting or suspecting a Punk run, likely has a couple multiples, or at least maybe one multiple in it for sure. So I like this trade if you're able to make it. Feels pretty good.
It's one of the more aesthetic 6 trades out there. I mean, it's got the mask, so you're going to have to deal with that. I'd forgotten how rare the 6 trades are. There's only 11 of these.
Yeah.
Wow. So I mean, this is one of the single most rare groups of Punks there are. You mentioned the high sale. So this is the lowest sale since a 6 trade went for 65 ETH back 3 years ago. We saw them go as high as 667 quite the flip for who got the 400 to 667 there in the same year. So we've seen some nice flips on these. Yeah, I think we could see a similar nice flip on these. So a nice punk sale. Congrats to the buyer on that. We've got XCopy back and alive on the market. So his Shape L2 mint Cope Salada finally minted out yesterday. It was, again, a generative edition. So each of them are unique, 250 in total supply. It looks like the floor is hanging out right around 3.5 ETH. This was a 0.33 ETH mint. So a nice 10x right off the bat. Logan, I'm curious, did you look at this highlight marketplace much on Shape? Any reactions here? I think this was really the first time, other than sign up, where I kind of started playing with the site. Curious if you have any reactions to the mint.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, so I've used Highlight before. I think there's also like some base stuff on there as well. It's pretty nice marketplace. As for the collection itself, I mean, this now becomes one of the more affordable X copies, and it's seemingly always X copy season. You know, it feels like that. I mean, art, of course, has its ebbs and flows here, but X copy remains hot almost forever. I don't necessarily love this particular collection when comparing to others, but if you wanted to gain access to an X copy, how much is there anything cheaper aside from like Max Payne? I don't think so.
There are some out there, but like I think a great analogy would be Remnants. This is his last X of 250 generative edition, and it's at an 80th floor. With the 5 offer. So it's significantly below that. Feels like it maybe has room to run, but I think perhaps the downside I've seen folks talk about is the fact that it's on Shape.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a little hard to find.
Right. It's harder to find. And it's also just like Ethereum, for all the gripes that we have with it, it's established. You're sort of also betting on Shape's success in a way. Although maybe we'll forget about Shape, and you see from time to time those X copy discovery things. I just saw one last week. Somebody found an edition from some, broken or no longer existing marketplace, and they bought some X copies or something. So maybe we'll be doing that. We'll have to file this away for 10 years from now. We'll be buying Cope Salada off the forgotten pages of Shape. They're not for Shape.
The X copy archaeologists. I'm sure they will find it. I'll just be blunt. Like I love some of the old X copy. I do think he's one of the best digital artists we have. I'm not in love with this new edition meta, where it's just kind of like the blob glitch art. Like, yes, they're all unique, but all kind of pretty much the same. You can't really tell them apart. One doesn't really stand out above another. I think Cope Salada kind of the same. It's got the face in it, I guess, which is nice. You perhaps can make it's perhaps PFP-able. I was curious what he would do with this, if he would make it more of a PFP, but perhaps actually now some of these I do like. So like this one's kind of cool.
I think if I were really looking for an X copy, I would buy a grifter personally. I mean, it's like 3 times the cost here. But like there's no way I'm choosing Remnants over a grifter, right?
Remnants feels too hot compared to grifters. And I also think Cope Salada is nicer now that I'm looking at it. I would pick Cope Salada over Remnants. So something's mispriced. We'll see if the market adjusts, or perhaps I'm just way off in left field. I think arguably the most notable headline from yesterday was out of Azra Games. I don't know if folks remember this. I actually traded some of these back when they first launched. They announced a $42 million raise yesterday from some huge players, Pantera Capital, A16Z Crypto, along with A16Z Games and NFX. This brings their total funding up to $68 million as they look to revolutionize mobile RPGs. I think what kind of stands out to me about this one is I feel like our timeline, the NFT and crypto timeline that I'm plugged into, there was no mention of this whatsoever. Total crickets about this massive raise. And someone in my comments said that there's this huge divide between kind of what's happening in gaming between the East and the West. And it feels like this is bigger in the East. But Logan, I'll toss it back to you. Any reactions to Azra and perhaps the lack of noise on the timeline for such a huge raise?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Of course, congratulations to Azra, the team. I mean, that's a very notable raise with very notable participation. A16Z, Pantera leading it. That's incredible. 68 million raised now is incredible. I think, like part of it, Tyler, maybe just like people got a little burnt out on the raise announcements from some of these games, and then the time to completion for games, right? Like just doesn't feel like anything has ever come to fruition. I think maybe perhaps the best in terms of raise to execution that we've seen is like Pirate Nation, right? Proof of Play raised like 30 some million from A16Z and others. And, Pirate Nation itself has started to execute, and you can play the game and, earn pirate and things like that. So I don't know if it's just people feeling like expectations have not been met, and so therefore these announcements sort of fly under the radar, or just people are so far down meme coin meta that, we can't even look to gaming. Although gaming there's some good things happening aside from Azra Games. You've got the off the grid stuff happening. I see Mando's face. Epic, the gaming
so
meme
we can
coin.
tell you one thing that's happening in gaming.
I mean,
the explosion of gaming meme coins.
There's stuff happening. And I think honestly, the gaming use case is such a slam dunk and makes so much sense that there will eventually be, undoubtedly there will be winners, whether it's Azra Games or, whoever the case is. But I think we just got burned on it, a little bit. Like we didn't realize how long things took, how hard it was. And that's some of consumer expectation just failing, the market. But it'll be interesting to follow. I remember these being a lot lower for a long time.
Buying these for 0.1 and selling for like 0.15. So it was a long run to get here. But yeah, it's a big week for gaming off the grid now that we're getting glimpses of that AVAX, gaming house down in Buenos Aires. So I'm sure more info will come out from that. We've got the Epic Duck leading gaming meme coins, just 25x off of Axie. So the sector is alive and fun again. The last story I want to hit, this was an interesting one. From those who remember Balaji and the network state concept that he made a little bit more popular. At least he was the one who put it on my radar. I think back in 2021, perhaps into 2022, the idea of kind of a crypto or technology focused group of people who form their own state. I think there's been different talks of whether there would actually be one central physical location or if you would do it kind of decentralized across the globe. Well, it looks like one company here in Praxis is looking to really push this vision forward. Raised $525 million from some pretty huge players here. Dan Romero from Farcaster, Max Vinstern from WorldCoin, amongst others, to make this new city, this network state, a reality. And they had their 3-part goal, their 3 drivers here to unlock technological and scientific possibilities, to create more heroic and beautiful ways of life, and then to show the world what is possible, that you can still build a great city in the 21st century. Mando, I'd actually love to throw this one to you. I'm curious if you recall or ever went deep down like the network state rabbit hole when Balaji kind of brought that up a few years back, and perhaps if you have any reactions to this, are you ready to move to the network state once they've got this up and running?
There's a lot of like forward thinking futurism, I think, around this sort of concept, right? Like, and I don't think it's tied to crypto, but it's also like its own thing. I think crypto I think it's the idea to create a state which is almost timeless as well. Often, if you like go back through history, right, we have the rise and fall of different states, and then the rise and fall of their currencies and all this sort of stuff. And the idea is to kind of create a state that can last and doesn't fall down some of the major pitfalls that current societies do. I personally think it's kind of a bit too out there for me to be a success, but who knows? Like a lot. I mean, if you go back to the original Bitcoin people, the original ETH people in particular, like a lot of this is some of their goals, right? Is to create new forms of governance and social structures, as well as a new form of economics. I think the idea of building ETH was very much to be one of the building blocks of a new way of how society interacts with each other, with things like smart contracts, like identity. The idea of like your own currency as well. So they can have a go at it. These are some pretty serious people, right? Very, very serious people. So maybe they'll have a go at it.
Some serious people plugged in. Applaud the vision. I think it's a difficult one, certainly in practice, to pull off, to be recognized as a state. Like the growing political volatility around the globe, leaders want to perhaps put tariffs on any products they develop, how they keep themselves protected. I think there's a lot of open questions around that for me. But hey, I think a lot of folks are probably questioning, to your point, the concept of Bitcoin when it started 10 years ago, and certainly it's got more legs. So we will see. This is a multi-year, perhaps multi-decade project in the making here. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of progress in the super near term, but a fun story to watch nonetheless. Well, Sims and Bern, I think we've gone around the horn now on all the stories I wanted to cover here in today's show. So it is time. It is time, folks.
Give me 1 second.
Spins.
Let me bring this up.
And if we want to remind folks the code one more time.
Yeah, I'll throw it up.
GOAT. GOAT is the code for today. We've got 2 spins, folks. First spins of the week. We'll see who is going to get lucky. I feel like we had a few nice prizes last week. I want to say we gave the Milady away right last week. Yeah. So the spinner is hot.
Right. This should work. Present screen. Go. Okay. One refresh.
All right. We've got the raffle pot up, folks. Get your entries in. Looks like
400.
All right.
Two draws.
James Stephan. Oh.
James Stephan on James Stephan.
The buttered bread. Come on up. James Stephan. Man, the new graphic is so good.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
James Stephan. All right. Go ahead and request if you're here. Then we're going to run it one more time. Bacon, eggs, cheese. No food-related winner. We have a butter piece of bread and bacon, eggs, cheese. All right, folks. Well, if you are listening here with us, go ahead and request so we can get you up here while we do these spins. Tim, remind me of the rules. So are we requiring folks to
they got a request now. So James Stephan 00 and bacon, egg, 4 cheese. You need to request now on Spaces. Come up and claim your prize. We'll give you a minute. Oh, we got one here. We have them both. They're both here. I'm just checking. Wow. Yep.
All right, we got them both. That was fast.
Is James there?
Looks like he is connecting. Maybe having a few problems getting on the space here. Well, if he has trouble connecting, he's here. He requested to join. We can probably move forward.
Yeah, it says connecting, so he has at least joined up. It would be nice to get his reaction if he is there, but it's not a major.
Clearly a friend of Bread Guy.
I'm gonna send him another speaker request just to see if it comes through. Try and accept that again, James. If not, we can move forward with it. It's fine. Is bacon, egg, for cheese there as well?
Bacon, if you're there, come off mute.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey GM, are you stoked? We're stoked to have you up here. Bacon.
All right, let's do this one then. So I'll stop this and bring up the spin page.
All right, so
all right,
first spins for James.
It is. This is for James. He has requested. I've also sent him one again, but he's having some problems. So, James, this spins for you. Go on then, Burn.
All right, let's spin the wheel. And we're spinning.
It's a Milady, I think.
Oh,
Is that 15 grand Milady?
you hit it?
Wow.
Oh, it's a wreck.
Oh,
It was
no.
so close. The internet lagged.
Is it the internet lagging or? Okay, we'll make sure we get that one checked.
All right. It looks like it was a wreck guy, but it was so close to the 15K milady. Oh, man.
I think it's the internet that's lagging and showing it incorrectly. We'll double check it in the back. It's all recorded and monitor anyway, so we'll make sure we know which one that prize is and that you get it.
Oh, man.
Whatever.
Would be huge. All right. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it was the milady for James.
Bernie's saying it's lagging the back, and I think it definitely was the wreck guy.
Okay. All right. It was the wreck guy. Still a nice win. $1,800. Not bad for tuning in to the show here on a Wednesday morning. I like that wreck guy. Quite a
Go on then, Ben. Give us a refresh. We'll do the second one. This one's for you, bacon and egg.
All right.
Let's go.
Looking forward to Burns' screen refreshing here. All right. It's loading. I'll bless the mic one more time for us. Come on.
Burn's great internet. You're doing well, mate. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
He's got dial-up speed up there in Michigan these days.
I'm feeding the hamster and hoping it runs in the wheel. Come on, Burn.
Bacon egg is edging on the edge of a C right now.
AOL reconnecting. Come on. The suspense better be worth it.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Looks like we are ready to spin here.
We'll wait until we get the final actual item that comes up at the end this time.
All right, Bacon. Hope you're ready.
Oh,
Decent wreck
guy. Over $2,000. That's another nice one. Congrats.
$2,000. All right. That's $4,000 given away today, pretty much.
All right. Enjoy your new wreck guy. All right, folks, that is going to be it. That is our show. Shout out to our listeners for tuning in. As always, we will be back tomorrow to break down all of today's action with another rollbit spin. One spin up for grabs tomorrow. As for today, go have a great Wednesday. Go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.